Hello, friends. Are you ready to explore the fascinating world of Carjackers? Released on March 28, 2025, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're bringing you all the hidden gems, stunning details, and unforgettable moments. If you enjoy this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more exciting movie explorations. Let's jump right in and uncover the magic together. In the bustling heart of Paris, for young professionals, Nora, Zoe, Steve, and Prestance navigate the glittering world of luxury hospitality. By day, they don impeccable uniforms, serving the elite clientele of opulent hotels. Nora, the de facto leader, is astute and resourceful, with a keen eye for detail. Zoe, her closest confidant, is agile and daring, always ready for action. Steve, the strategist, meticulously plans their endeavors, ensuring precision in every move. Prestance, the newest member, brings fresh energy and unwavering loyalty to the team. Their camaraderie extends beyond their professional roles. They share a profound bond, united by shared experiences and mutual respect. This unity is the foundation of their covert operations. During their lunch breaks, they seamlessly transition from service staff to skilled carjackers, executing swift heists on the roads surrounding their workplaces. Their targets are carefully chosen, wealthy individuals whose routines they observe and study, ensuring that each operation is executed with precision and minimal risk. The team operates with a strict code, loyalty above all else. They view their heists not merely as criminal acts but as a means to challenge the societal structures that have marginalized them. Each member harbors personal motivations, financial struggles, aspirations for a better life, and a desire to break free from the constraints imposed by their circumstances. These motivations drive them, fueling their commitment to their cause and to each other. As their operations continue, their reputation grows, earning them the moniker Carjackers. Their success is attributed to their meticulous planning and unwavering unity. However, their increasing audacity begins to attract attention. The management of the luxury hotels they serve becomes suspicious, noticing discrepancies and patterns that hint at a deeper connection between the employees and the string of heists. In a strategic move to uncover the identities of the carjackers, the hotel director enlists the services of Elias, a seasoned hitman known for his ruthlessness and efficiency. Elias's reputation precedes him, instilling fear in those who cross his path. His involvement introduces a new level of danger, as he begins to methodically track and eliminate leads, closing in on the team with relentless determination. The carjackers become aware of Elias's pursuit, heightening the stakes and introducing internal conflicts. Paranoia sets in as trust is tested, and the pressure of maintaining their dual identities weighs heavily on each member. The once seamless coordination of their operations begins to fray, leading to mistakes and close calls that threaten to unravel their carefully constructed facade. Amidst this turmoil, the team plans their most ambitious heist yet, a final score that promises the freedom they've long desired. The operation is fraught with challenges, requiring every ounce of their skill and unity. As they execute their plan, unforeseen obstacles arise, forcing them to adapt and make split-second decisions that test their resolve and resourcefulness. Throughout these events, the film masterfully weaves moments of introspection, allowing viewers to glimpse the personal struggles and aspirations of each character. These insights humanize the carjackers, transforming them from mere criminals into complex individuals driven by a mix of necessity, desire, and circumstance. The narrative delves into themes of identity, loyalty, and the blurred lines between right and wrong, prompting viewers to question societal norms and the true meaning of justice. The cinematography complements the narrative, contrasting the opulence of the luxury hotels with the gritty reality of the streets. The sleek, high-speed chases are juxtaposed with intimate, quiet moments of reflection, creating a dynamic visual experience that mirrors the film's thematic depth. The soundtrack, a blend of contemporary beats and soulful melodies, enhances the emotional resonance of key scenes, further immersing the audience in the carjacker's world. As the first half of the film concludes, viewers are left on the edge of their seats, eager to discover the fate of the carjackers. The stakes have never been higher, and the path forward is uncertain. The narrative has skillfully built tension, developed complex characters, and set the stage for a climactic resolution that promises to be both thrilling and poignant. As we transition into the second half of Carjackers, the tension that's been simmering throughout the first act begins to explode into full-blown chaos. By now, the Carjackers have grown increasingly brazen with their heists, and it's clear that their world is on the verge of imploding. What started as a daring, but relatively low-stakes game of road-bound theft has evolved into a high-risk operation, fraught with danger on all sides. The presence of Elias, the hitman hired by the hotel director, becomes more menacing as he slowly closes in on the crew. The sense of impending doom is palpable, and with every move they make, they are confronted by the question: can they escape the consequences of their double life before it all comes crashing down? The second half begins with the aftermath of their most recent heist, which, while successful, has left the team on edge. The cracks in their once seamless operation are starting to show. Zoe, the reckless and bold driver of the crew, has grown increasingly paranoid. She feels the pressure of Elias' looming presence and fears that their time together is running out. Her fear manifests as frustration, causing friction between her and Nora, who is trying desperately to keep the team together. Nora, though still calm and calculated, can't help but sense that the end is near. She knows they've pushed their luck too far, but the promise of one final heist, an ambitious job that could guarantee them the freedom they all crave, keeps her going. The emotional stakes rise as the tension between Nora and Zoe reaches a boiling point. Their relationship, which was once one of trust and camaraderie, begins to show signs of fracture. Both women have grown up in tough environments, but their dreams have always been different. Nora dreams of escape, not just for herself, but for the people she loves. Zoe, however, has always wanted to make a statement, to carve out a space for herself in a world that's constantly tried to silence her. As their personalities clash, it becomes clear that they both want out, but their motivations are no longer aligned. This fracture within the team threatens to undo everything they've worked for. Zoe's sense of urgency leads her to act impulsively, taking risks that go against their usual meticulous planning. Steve, the mastermind and planner, tries to keep things on track, but the mounting stress is wearing on him. The team's perfect record is now in jeopardy. Each heist grows more desperate, and the mistakes they once avoided are creeping in. Steve's growing frustration with Zoe's recklessness becomes a point of contention, and the normally level-headed planner begins to doubt whether when Elias makes his move. Up until now, he's been a shadow in the background, always watching, always calculating. But now, he's no longer lurking in the shadows. He begins to make his presence known, starting with a brutal encounter that sends shockwaves through the Carjackers. He targets one of the team's trusted allies, a close contact who's been helping them with stolen goods. The hit is swift, cold, and brutal, a warning shot that makes it clear that no one is safe. The crew is shaken, but the message is loud and clear. Elias is coming for them, and he's not going to stop until they're all gone. This event acts as a catalyst for the final stretch of the film. With their trusted contacts now compromised and the noose tightening around them, the Carjackers have no choice but to proceed with their most ambitious heist yet. The job they've been planning for weeks is now their only hope for freedom. The target? A billionaire's luxurious private estate, filled with enough cash and valuables to set them up for life. But there's a twist. The estate is heavily guarded, not just by private security, but also by an array of high-tech systems. The team will have to push their skills to the absolute limit, relying on every ounce of trust they have left in each other to pull it off. As the night of the heist approaches, the fractures within the group grow even more pronounced. Prestance, the youngest member, is dealing with his own internal conflict. He's been in this life for only a short time, and the allure of wealth has begun to cloud his judgment. He's conflicted about the violence they're about to commit, and his growing unease threatens to compromise the team's success. He confides in Steve, expressing his doubts, but Steve reassures him, telling him that this is their last job, their last chance at freedom. The heist itself is a masterclass in tension. The team's precision and planning are on full display, but so is the pressure they are under. Each step of the plan is filled with close calls, security cameras almost catching them, guards coming dangerously close, and their internal conflicts causing brief moments of hesitation. The audience is kept on the edge of their seat, holding their breath with every near miss, every calculated move. It's clear that every decision now carries monumental weight. Just as the team is on the verge of completing the heist, disaster strikes. In a heart-stopping twist, Elias makes his move. He's been tracking them the entire time, and when the carjackers least expect it, he ambushes them during the final stage of their plan. The quiet elegance of the heist turns into a chaotic nightmare, as Elias and his team of mercenaries descend upon the carjackers with brutal efficiency. The carefully constructed facade of their operation unravels in seconds, and the group is thrust into a fight for their lives. In the ensuing chaos, several key moments push the emotional and narrative stakes even higher. Nora, ever the leader, fights to protect the others, but as Elias closes in on her, it's clear that her time may have run out. Zoé's recklessness, which had been the source of so much tension earlier, finally comes to the forefront as she makes a rash move to save Nora, leading to disastrous consequences. Steve, who's been holding it together, finally cracks under the pressure, and Prestance, unsure of where his loyalties lie, makes a desperate choice that alters the course of the entire heist. In the final, explosive confrontation, the team is forced to confront not only Elias but also the true cost of their choices. The heist, which they thought would be their ticket to freedom, has now become a desperate fight for survival. With everything on the line, they make one final push to escape, but at what cost? The final moments of the film leave the audience breathless, with the fate of the carjackers uncertain. Some members of the team escape, while others are left behind, caught in the carnage of their own making. The second half of Carjackers is a rollercoaster of emotions, filled with unexpected twists, heart-pounding action, and moments of personal revelation. It explores themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the harsh reality of living a life on the run. By the end, viewers are left reflecting on the choices the Carjackers made and the ultimate price they paid for their freedom. It's a gripping conclusion to a film that never lets up, a thrilling ride that captivates from start to finish. In Carjackers, the characters are not mere accomplices in a heist. They are fully fleshed-out individuals with distinct personalities, motives, and struggles. As the narrative unfolds, the complexities of their lives become increasingly apparent, and the emotional depth they bring to the screen makes their actions resonate with viewers long after the credits roll. The beauty of the film lies in how it balances thrilling, high-stakes action with rich character exploration, giving each member of the crew a story arc that feels personal and human, even amid the chaos of their criminal lives. At the heart of this journey are Nora, Zoé, Steve, and Prestance, each bringing their unique strengths and vulnerabilities to the table. Nora, portrayed with quiet intensity by Zoé Marchal, stands as the central figure, the glue holding the team together. From the outset, Nora's pragmatism and leadership are evident. She's the one who makes the tough decisions, who keeps her cool in moments of crisis, and who believes in the crew's shared dream of a better life. But her motivations go beyond financial gain. They are tied to a deep-seated desire for escape from a life of servitude, from the crushing weight of her circumstances, and from the constant reminder of a world that has never truly given her a fair chance. Throughout the film, Nora's internal struggle is palpable. She loves the people she works with, and their loyalty is something she values above all else. However, she is keenly aware that their lives are fragile, that the price of their freedom will come with a cost that may be more than they can bear. Zoé, played with fierce energy and vulnerability by Franck Gastambide, is both the wild card and the heart of the crew. At first glance, she might seem like the classic rebellious figure, the one willing to break the rules in pursuit of excitement or personal gain. But Zoé's motivations are more layered than that. Her reckless nature is driven by a deep-seated need to prove herself, to stand out in a world that has always overlooked her. As an outsider, Zoé feels disconnected from the more traditional paths that others follow. She doesn't just want the money. She wants the thrill, the power, and the recognition that comes with being in control. However, her increasingly impulsive actions serve as a double-edged sword, pushing the team toward danger while also exposing the vulnerability beneath her tough exterior. Zoé's relationship with Nora is one of both tension and deep affection. While they clash frequently, their bond is undeniable. It's clear that Zoé's desire for freedom is rooted not just in material gain, but in the freedom to live life on her own terms, a desire that, over the course of the film, grows into a more nuanced reflection of her own identity. Steve, portrayed by the ever-steady Franck Gastambide, is the quiet mastermind behind the team's operations. Where Nora is the emotional anchor, Steve is the strategic mind, constantly thinking several steps ahead to ensure that every move they make is calculated and precise. He's the planner, the one who keeps the crew's operations running smoothly, analyzing every risk before it's taken. But Steve is also a man with his own demons. Underneath his calm exterior is a man grappling with feelings of inadequacy and a desperate need to prove himself. As the film progresses, Steve's meticulous nature begins to unravel, revealing the cracks in his carefully constructed persona. His growing frustration with Zoé's reckless behavior comes to a head as the stakes increase. In many ways, Steve's arc is about accepting the imperfections of the people around him and learning that no plan, no matter how well thought out, can ever be perfect. His internal struggle reflects a deep sense of loneliness, a desire to belong to something larger than himself, even as his actions push him further away from the group. Prestance, the youngest member of the crew, is a character who embodies the naive optimism of someone who is still trying to find their place in the world. Played with a mix of uncertainty and earnestness, Preston's journey is one of growth and realization. Initially, he is the outsider, someone who doesn't fully understand the risks and dangers of the criminal world. He is eager to prove himself to the team, but his youthful enthusiasm makes him prone to making mistakes. Throughout the film, Preston's internal conflict becomes more pronounced as he begins to question his role in the crew and the morality of their actions. His arc is about discovering what he truly values and whether his loyalty to the group outweighs his growing discomfort with the violence and risk that comes with their lifestyle. In many ways, Prestance serves as a mirror to the audience, asking the questions that we, too, might ask: what's the cost of this life? And at what point does the pursuit of freedom become self-destruction? Each of these characters brings a unique energy to the screen, and their growth throughout the movie is nothing short of mesmerizing. The actors' performances breathe life into these roles, capturing the vulnerability, strength, and complexity of their respective characters. Zoé Marchal's portrayal of Nora is particularly striking, as she perfectly balances the character's tough exterior with the hidden fragility that lies beneath. Her ability to convey the internal conflict that Nora faces, her desire for freedom versus the loyalty she feels toward her team, is a masterclass in subtlety and nuance. Franck Gastambide's performance as Steve is similarly impressive. He brings a quiet intensity to the role, expertly portraying a character who is both in control and deeply conflicted. Steve's emotional journey, his struggle with the team's mounting pressure and the breakdown of his carefully constructed plans, adds a layer of complexity that makes him both relatable and tragic. Gastambide's understated approach allows the audience to see the vulnerability beneath Steve's calm exterior, creating a character who is far from the archetypal mastermind. Zoé Marchal's portrayal of Zoé, on the other hand, is filled with fiery energy. She brings the character to life with a rawness that's both captivating and unsettling. Zoé's unpredictability, her need to rebel, and her moments of vulnerability make her one of the most complex characters in the film. Marchal's performance captures the essence of Zoé's journey, her search for identity, her struggle to control her destiny, and her deep desire for connection amidst the chaos. Prestance, played with earnest charm, is the youngest member of the team and represents the more innocent, idealistic side of their operation. His internal struggle is portrayed with subtlety, as his character grows from someone eager to impress into someone who begins to question the morality of their choices. The actor's performance highlights Preston's journey from naivety to self-awareness, creating a character whose evolution is both poignant and relatable. While the primary focus of the film is on these four central characters, secondary characters also play key roles in shaping the narrative. Elias, the hitman hired to track down the Carjackers, is one of the most formidable and chilling figures in the film. His presence looms over the crew throughout the second half of the movie, and his relentless pursuit serves as a constant reminder of the danger they are in. Elias is portrayed as a cold, calculating figure whose motives are rooted in professionalism rather than personal vendettas. His role in the story is pivotal, serving as the antagonist who pushes the crew to make increasingly desperate choices. In addition to Elias, the team's contacts in the criminal underworld play vital roles in the development of the plot. These secondary characters, some loyal, others self-serving, serve to highlight the tension between the Carjackers and the world they're trying to escape. Each interaction with these secondary characters serves as a reminder of the precarious balance the team is maintaining. In a world where trust is a commodity that can be bought and sold, the Carjackers' relationships with these figures are fraught with tension, suspicion, and a constant fear of betrayal. The film's success lies in its ability to make each character feel fully realized, with their motivations, fears, and desires interwoven into the plot in a way that feels organic. The characters' arcs are never forced. They evolve naturally, shaped by their interactions with each other and the world around them. Through this exploration of character, Carjackers transcends the heist genre and becomes a deeper, more meaningful exploration of loyalty, identity, and the cost of freedom. Each character, no matter how secondary, plays a crucial role in the unfolding drama, and their contributions create a rich, immersive experience for the audience. In the end, it's the characters, flawed, complex, and deeply human, that make Carjackers unforgettable. The film succeeds not only in its thrilling action sequences but in the emotional resonance it evokes through the growth and development of its characters. As viewers, we are invested in their journeys, rooting for them to succeed, even as we recognize the inevitable consequences of their choices. It's a testament to the actors' performances and the depth of the script that the Carjackers are so much more than mere criminals. They are individuals we come to care about, even as they spiral toward their inevitable fate. Carjackers is a film that, beyond its gripping narrative and complex characters, is rich with hidden details, nods to pop culture, historical references, and subtle foreshadowing that only the most attentive viewers will catch. These elements work to deepen the story, adding layers of meaning and intrigue that make the movie feel even more immersive upon repeated viewings. As we dive into the hidden details and Easter eggs, we uncover how these subtle touches contribute to the film's narrative complexity, making it a treasure trove for fans who are eager to dig deeper into its world. One of the most compelling aspects of Carjackers is how it weaves references to other films and pop culture seamlessly into the story. These aren't mere throwaway moments. Rather, they serve as subtle clues, hinting at themes or providing background to the characters' motivations. For instance, the opening scene, which features a daring heist on the streets of Paris, draws obvious inspiration from classic heist films like The Italian Job, 1969, and Heat, 1995. The high-speed chases, the careful coordination between the team members, and the precision with which the operation is carried out all echo the tension and excitement seen in these iconic films. But what Carjackers does differently is layer those references with its own unique spin, by placing the team in a seemingly inconspicuous environment, luxury hotels. This contrast between the high-end lifestyle and their criminal activity becomes a thematic cornerstone, echoing the dichotomy found in films like Ocean's 11, 2001, where characters from seemingly respectable backgrounds are pushed to the brink by their own desires for something more. By borrowing from these films, Carjackers places itself within a larger cinematic tradition, one that blends action with nuanced character exploration, while still making its own distinct mark. As the film progresses, the audience begins to notice recurring motifs and visual clues that foreshadow key moments of the plot. One such detail is the constant use of mirrors. Throughout the movie, mirrors are used not only as a practical device in hotel lobbies and elevators but also as a symbol of duality and reflection. The characters, particularly Nora and Zoe, are often framed in mirrors, highlighting their internal conflict and dual lives. Nora, who is the leader of the group, frequently appears in mirrors as she makes decisions that affect the entire team, symbolizing her role as a reflective figure who must balance her ambitions with the responsibility she feels for her crew. Zoe, on the other hand, is often shown looking into mirrors in moments of self-doubt, as if searching for her true identity. These visual cues emphasize the constant tension between their public and private selves, and how the two worlds are starting to blur. Another recurring theme that ties into the film's symbolic details is the idea of escape. The Carjackers are all, in one way or another, trying to break free from something, whether it's their financial struggles, the societal constraints they face, or their personal demons. The film uses architecture and urban space to reinforce this idea. The contrast between the slick, controlled spaces of the luxury hotels and the chaotic, unpredictable world of the streets outside is a reflection of the characters' desires for freedom. There's an ongoing visual juxtaposition between the pristine, polished interiors of the hotels and the gritty, fast-paced exterior world of Paris. The contrast between these two worlds symbolizes the characters' conflicting desires. The luxury and stability of the hotel world represents their dream of freedom, but the reality of their lives in the streets shows that they're trapped in a cycle they can't easily escape. Foreshadowing is another element that runs throughout the movie, giving viewers a sense of impending doom. One of the most poignant uses of foreshadowing involves Prestance, the youngest member of the crew, who seems the most idealistic and uncertain about the heists. Early on, he is shown hesitating during a crucial moment in a heist, unsure of whether to act. His moment of doubt is subtle but telling. Later in the film, when the heists grow more dangerous, his reluctance becomes a focal point. His inner conflict about the cost of their actions begins to unravel. It's not until the latter half of the film that Prestance makes a critical decision that changes the course of the story, and when he does, it's the culmination of the foreshadowing that had been laid out early on. His hesitation at the start is a direct reflection of his journey towards self-awareness, and the eventual decision he makes becomes a pivotal turning point in the narrative. Another key element of foreshadowing occurs with the introduction of Elias, the hitman sent to track down the carjackers. Elias's first appearance is framed in an almost mythic manner. He's shown as a shadowy figure, always just outside the frame. His presence felt more than seen. This sense of foreboding is heightened by the fact that he is never fully revealed until much later in the film. This technique builds suspense and foreshadows the eventual showdown between Elias and the carjackers. His calm, methodical nature is the perfect foil to the chaotic energy of the crew, and his pursuit of them becomes a driving force that propels the narrative forward. The way Elias is framed in early scenes, coupled with his cold demeanor, signals to the audience that he is a force to be reckoned with, a necessary antagonist for the story to reach its full emotional and thematic weight. The film also includes several Easter eggs that, when discovered, add an extra layer of enjoyment for viewers who are paying close attention. One of the most delightful Easter eggs comes in the form of a cameo by an actor from a classic French crime film. Midway through the movie, the crew is shown interacting with a high-ranking underworld figure who offers them advice about their next big heist. The actor playing this character, while not immediately recognizable, bears a striking resemblance to Jean-Paul Belmondo, the star of the iconic 1960 film Breathless, About to Souffler. This subtle nod to French cinema is an acknowledgement of the genre's rich history, particularly the films that helped shape the modern heist genre. For cinephiles, this Easter egg adds a level of historical depth to Carjackers, allowing them to connect the film to its cinematic predecessors. Another small but significant Easter egg occurs in the soundtrack. Throughout the film, the music shifts from high-energy, modern tracks during the heist scenes to more classical, melancholy tunes during moments of introspection. One of the classical pieces that appears toward the end of the film is an excerpt from La Mer, the famous French composition by Charles Trenet. This song, often associated with the elegance of French culture, is used ironically, playing during a pivotal moment when the team is forced to confront the consequences of their actions. The juxtaposition of the elegant tune with the gritty, violent nature of the scene serves as a commentary on the characters' struggle to reconcile their dreams of luxury with the harsh realities of their criminal lives. It's a delicate balance between hope and despair, and this Easter egg works on multiple levels, enhancing the emotional weight of the moment. In addition to these musical Easter eggs, there are subtle visual nods to classic heist films. For example, in one scene, Steve is seen standing next to a large, ornate clock in the hotel lobby, a deliberate reference to the Thomas Crown Affair, 1968, where time plays a central role in both the planning and execution of the heists. The clock in Carjackers serves as a metaphor for the ticking clock on the crew's operation. As the time runs out, the crew's window of escape grows smaller, and this visual cue emphasizes the sense of urgency and impending danger. The film also peppers in moments that subtly hint at the larger socio-political context in which the characters operate. For example, the team's decision to target wealthy individuals and high-end locations is framed not just as a financial necessity, but also as a rebellion against a system that they feel has never given them a fair chance. The world of luxury hotels, pristine streets, and affluent neighborhoods serves as a stark contrast to the harsh, grimy realities of the streets they come from. These social commentaries are woven into the film's fabric, giving the narrative an added layer of political depth. The carjackers aren't just stealing for personal gain. They are taking what they feel is rightfully theirs, challenging a system that has kept them down for so long. Lastly, one of the most poignant Easter eggs comes in the form of a small detail in the final heist. As the team prepares to make their getaway, a painting on the wall of the billionaire's estate catches the eye of the viewer. It depicts a stormy sea, with a lone boat struggling against the waves. The imagery is both beautiful and haunting, serving as a metaphor for the carjackers' journey. They are the boat, struggling against a storm of their own making, and the painting is a foreshadowing of the emotional and physical turmoil that lies ahead. This visual metaphor encapsulates the central theme of the film. Freedom is not easily won, and the storm of consequences they've unleashed is about to crash down on them. In Carjackers, every detail, every reference, and every subtle visual cue has been carefully placed to enhance the film's depth and complexity. These hidden details and Easter eggs invite viewers to engage with the movie on a deeper level, uncovering the layers of meaning that lie just beneath the surface. Whether through the symbolic use of mirrors, the foreshadowing of key events, or the carefully constructed nods to film history and pop culture, Carjackers rewards those who pay attention, creating a cinematic experience that lingers long after the final frame. Carjackers is a film that combines thrilling heist action with rich character dynamics, and as is often the case with successful movies, its creation involved a series of fascinating behind-the-scenes moments, unexpected challenges, and creative decisions that shaped the finished product. From the casting choices to the elaborate set designs, the making of Carjackers was a complex and collaborative effort that not only resulted in a visually striking and suspenseful film but also in stories and trivia that only add to its allure. Here are some of the most intriguing and fascinating facts about the movie's production that reveal the unique journey the film took from concept to screen. One of the most notable behind-the-scenes stories involves the casting of the lead roles. Zoé Marchal, who plays Nora, was a relative newcomer to the international film scene, but her audition for the role was so compelling that the filmmakers were immediately captivated by her raw intensity and nuanced portrayal of the character. Marchal, known primarily for her stage work, had to undergo a significant physical transformation for the role. To portray Nora's tough, street-smart persona, Marchal trained rigorously in both stunt choreography and firearms handling. While her performance is full of emotional depth, it was the physicality she brought to the role that stood out during the casting process. She spent several months working with a renowned stunt coordinator to ensure her action scenes were both believable and impactful. Interestingly, the first time Marchal performed a high-speed chase scene in a car, she had to face her own fear of driving at high speeds. The experience was so harrowing that it became one of the most difficult days of production for her. However, after the scene was successfully filmed, Marchal said it had helped her bond with the character of Nora, whose internal struggle for control mirrored her own experience on set. In addition to Marchal's training, one of the most significant decisions made by the filmmakers was casting Franck Gastambide as Steve. Gastambide, known for his comedic roles, took a sharp turn in his career by taking on this gritty and dramatic role. Initially, there was some hesitation from fans and even from the crew, given his background in comedy. However, Gastambide's commitment to the role and his ability to embrace Steve's complexity ultimately silenced any doubts. He threw himself into the character with unparalleled dedication, spending hours with the film's writers to understand Steve's motivations and his internal battles. Gastambide also worked closely with the film's director to ensure his portrayal would avoid the typical cool mastermind trope that could have been too easy to fall into. Instead, Gastambide created a Steve who was vulnerable, calculating, and driven by a deep sense of loneliness. The authenticity he brought to the role made Steve one of the standout characters of the film. While casting decisions were key to the movie's success, Carjackers also presented numerous unexpected challenges during production. Perhaps the most difficult challenge was coordinating the high-octane action scenes, particularly the car chases. The film's director, a seasoned veteran of action films, had envisioned a series of intricate and highly realistic car chases that would become the hallmark of the film. However, Shooting these scenes on the narrow, bustling streets of Paris posed numerous difficulties. Not only were the logistics of blocking traffic and coordinating with local authorities challenging, but the constant rain during the film's shoot created further complications. Many of the most visually stunning car chase sequences were filmed during torrential downpours, which, while adding a layer of drama and intensity, also made the driving conditions incredibly hazardous. The stunt drivers and actors, especially Marchal, had to work tirelessly to perfect their performances. In fact, one of the most dangerous stunts in the movie involved a sequence where Nora, played by Marchal, jumps from one moving vehicle to another in a high-speed chase. The stunt, performed with an extraordinary level of precision, required numerous takes and was only accomplished after the crew spent hours rehearsing with wire rigs and harnesses. It was a pivotal moment in the film and became a symbol of Nora's character, her willingness to take risks and push beyond her limits. Another behind-the-scenes story that fans of the film may find intriguing involves the choice of location for the majority of the film's heist sequences. The filmmakers wanted the action to unfold in iconic, high-end Parisian locations that would visually juxtapose the gritty nature of the characters' criminal activities. After months of scouting, they chose luxury hotels and high-end boutiques as the primary backdrops for the heists. However, gaining access to such prestigious locations was no small feat. The production team had to negotiate with several luxury hotel chains, convincing them that the film would portray their venues in a respectful and stylish light. There were several moments of tension during the filming, particularly when hotel owners and managers would express concern over their establishments being used for scenes of criminal activity. The filmmakers, though, managed to allay these concerns by emphasizing the film's theme of duality, the stark contrast between the elegance of the hotel world and the dangerous world of the characters. The production also worked diligently to ensure that these locations would be shot in a way that made them integral to the plot, rather than merely serving as passive backdrops. The result is a film where the settings themselves become characters, amplifying the tension and adding a layer of sophistication to the otherwise chaotic heists. While much of the movie's success can be attributed to the actors and the technical expertise of the crew, it's important to acknowledge the visionary work of the film's cinematographer, who helped craft the film's iconic look. One of the film's key visual motifs is the use of contrasting lighting. The film frequently switches between cool, sterile lighting in the hotel scenes and warm, shadow-heavy lighting in the more intimate moments. This visual dichotomy underscores the themes of duality, as well as the tension between the glamorous world the carjackers are trying to escape and the dangerous, unpredictable lives they lead. The cinematographer's ability to create these visual contrasts helped elevate the film beyond its genre conventions, adding a visual richness that supports the film's emotional beats. The production team also made an intentional choice to shoot certain scenes with handheld cameras, giving the action sequences a visceral, in-the-moment feeling. This choice, combined with the overall fluidity of the cinematography, helped create a sense of urgency and realism, especially during the more intense heist sequences. Behind the camera, Carjackers also faced some unexpected challenges related to the production schedule. At one point, the crew faced a major setback when a key location, a luxury hotel, was unexpectedly shut down due to safety concerns. The hotel had experienced some damage in a prior storm, and production was forced to scramble to find an alternative location. The filmmakers were able to secure a similar venue, but this last-minute change required significant adjustments to the shooting schedule. Despite the setback, the crew remained calm and adaptive, finding creative ways to work around the challenges. This resilience and problem-solving mentality became one of the defining characteristics of the production, allowing the film to maintain its momentum even when faced with obstacles. One of the more unusual moments in Carjackers' production history involved a bit of controversy surrounding the film's portrayal of crime and its potential influence on real-life behavior. Some critics argued that the movie glamorized the criminal lifestyle, particularly the decision to depict the heists in such a stylish and sophisticated manner. This debate gained significant traction in the French media, with some calling for restrictions on films that could potentially inspire copycat behavior. The filmmakers, however, defended the film's artistic integrity, arguing that it wasn't meant to condone criminality, but rather to explore the complexity of its characters' motivations. They highlighted how the film portrayed the consequences of the characters' actions and the emotional toll it took on them, suggesting that the story was as much about the cost of freedom as it was about the thrill of the heist itself. The filmmaker's perspective prevailed, with the movie ultimately being embraced for its thematic richness and the complexity of its characters. The controversy surrounding the film's portrayal of crime, however, served as an unexpected opportunity for discussion about the nature of entertainment and the ethical responsibilities of filmmakers. It also sparked conversations about the role of movies in shaping public perception and the fine line between artistic expression and moral responsibility. Finally, one of the most unexpected facts about Carjackers is how it found a dedicated international fanbase despite being a relatively niche genre film. The film's success can be attributed not only to its thrilling heist sequences and gripping performances but also to the way it tapped into universal themes of desire, rebellion, and the search for identity. The film became a point of cultural discussion, especially in Europe, where it resonated deeply with audiences who saw the characters' struggle for freedom as reflective of their own social and political struggles. This global resonance was further amplified by the film's release on streaming platforms, where it garnered a massive following across different countries, proving that Carjackers had become more than just a heist movie, it had become a cultural touchstone. In the end, Carjackers is a film that went through a multifaceted and sometimes turbulent production process, with moments of brilliance and struggle alike. From the dedication of the cast and crew to the creative decisions that shaped the film's visual and thematic identity, every aspect of the movie came together to create a work that not only entertained but also engaged audiences on a deeper level. It's a movie that has, in many ways, become a reflection of its own characters, resilient, dynamic, and unapologetically ambitious. Carjackers stands out not only because of its high-octane action and compelling heist drama, but also for its ability to craft emotionally resonant and thematically rich moments. Throughout the film, there are several key scenes and turning points that offer critical insights into the narrative, character arcs, and underlying themes. These moments act as the backbone of the movie, significantly impacting the emotional and thematic weight of the story, and shaping the audience's experience in a way that lingers long after the credits roll. Let's dive into a deep, critical analysis of these pivotal moments, exploring how they drive the narrative forward and transform the characters and viewers alike. The movie opens with a high-energy car chase that immediately sets the tone for Carjackers. This sequence not only introduces the audience to the high-stakes world of criminal heists but also subtly establishes the film's key thematic concerns: freedom, risk, and control. The chase takes place against the backdrop of a rainy Paris, the slick streets reflecting the intensity of the action. Nora, played by Zoé Marchal, leads the crew with cool precision, navigating through tight streets and avoiding the relentless pursuit of law enforcement. The scene is a technical marvel, showcasing the crew's expertise and how deeply intertwined their personal lives are with the crime they commit. However, the true power of this sequence lies in its ability to provide a glimpse of Nora's inner turmoil. While she displays a masterful command over the chase itself, the way the camera lingers on her face, sweating, tense, yet determined, suggests a woman who is constantly battling an internal conflict. The thrill of the chase and the adrenaline rush of the heist seem to fuel her, but there's a certain emptiness behind her eyes. This subtle emotional undercurrent foreshadows the larger emotional arc of Nora. She is not just a criminal mastermind. She's a woman who is searching for something more, something that drives her beyond the wealth and power that she has already achieved. This opening scene, therefore, serves not only as a thrilling action spectacle but as an emotional prologue, subtly hinting at the personal stakes that will drive the rest of the story. It sets the stage for the complexity of Nora's character, making it clear that, as much as she thrives in this dangerous world, it's the internal cost of her lifestyle that will define her arc. As the plot moves forward, the film transitions into the quieter, more introspective moments where the emotional weight of the character's choices begins to take center stage. One of the most pivotal scenes in this regard occurs when the crew gathers in their safe house to discuss their next big heist. This is a moment of rare vulnerability, as each member of the team expresses their anxieties about the consequences of their actions. The character of Prestance, who has been introduced as the youngest and most idealistic member of the crew, plays a central role in this scene. He's the first to voice his doubts, questioning the moral implications of their actions. His hesitation is palpable, and the way the camera focuses on him, alone in the center of the room, adds an almost claustrophobic intensity to the moment. This scene is significant because it exposes the fractures within the crew and begins to highlight the individual motivations driving each character. Prestance represents the idealism that the crew has long since abandoned, and his discomfort marks the beginning of the unraveling of the team's cohesion. For the audience, this scene deepens the emotional stakes of the film. No longer are the Carjackers simply a group of criminals executing heists for money or power. They are now shown as a family of sorts, bound together by their shared pasts, but increasingly pulled apart by their conflicting desires and fears. The tension in this scene also serves as a microcosm of the larger theme of the film, the conflict between personal freedom and the price that one must pay to achieve it. Preston's internal struggle becomes the emotional heartbeat of the film, providing the audience with a lens through which to view the consequences of the carjacker's actions. His doubts become our doubts, making the heist genre feel far more personal and emotional than we might expect. This moment of vulnerability is contrasted with a later turning point, the decision to go ahead with a high-risk heist at a prestigious luxury hotel. This sequence is thrilling not only because of its technical prowess, the slick choreography, the cat-and-mouse tension between the crew and the hotel security, but because it marks the moment where the stakes become truly personal for the crew. The audience, at this point, has already witnessed the emotional fractures within the team, and now, with the heist in full swing, those cracks are beginning to show. The heist is meticulously planned, but the tension that permeates the air suggests that something is about to go terribly wrong. There's an ever-present sense of impending disaster, amplified by the superb direction and cinematography that make every frame feel charged with tension. It is here that the audience is introduced to Elias, the hitman who has been quietly tracking the crew's every move. His introduction shifts the tone of the film dramatically. Prior to this, the film had been focused on the dynamics within the Carjackers team, but Elias represents the external threat that will ultimately disrupt everything they have built. He is cold, calculating, and methodical, an almost mythic antagonist who embodies the inescapable consequences of their lifestyle. The first interaction between Elias and Nora, where the two briefly lock eyes in the hotel lobby, is a moment that carries a palpable tension. Though the two don't speak a word to each other, the brief connection between them suggests a deeper understanding, a recognition of the destructive forces that both of them are tethered to. The quiet, understated nature of this moment allows the audience to feel the weight of what's at stake. The Carjackers' world is on the brink of collapse, and Elias is the agent of that destruction. The heist itself culminates in a nail-biting sequence in which everything begins to fall apart. The crew's plan, which seemed so flawless just moments ago, begins to unravel in dramatic fashion. The twists and turns of this sequence serve as a perfect metaphor for the broader themes of the film: control, chaos, and the inevitable consequences of one's choices. Nora, who has been the mastermind behind every heist, finds herself increasingly out of control, her leadership and calmness slipping as everything goes awry. The audience is forced to witness the unraveling of her carefully constructed world, and as things spiral out of her grasp, the emotional weight of the situation becomes overwhelming. The pacing of this sequence is expertly handled, with moments of sheer tension followed by brief pauses that allow the audience to process the gravity of the situation. It's a masterclass in building suspense and emotional investment. Perhaps the most critical moment in the entire film comes near the end, when Prestance, who had voiced his doubts early in the film, makes a decision that will alter the course of events. His choice, a result of his growing disillusionment with the life he's been living, forces Nora into a moment of reckoning. Preston's decision to go against the crew's wishes and attempt to stop the heist is a powerful turning point, one that underscores his internal journey from naivete to understanding the true cost of their criminal actions. His act of defiance is not just an emotional release, it is a moment of self-discovery. He is no longer a passive participant in the events around him. He has become an active agent, choosing to confront the consequences of his involvement in the world of crime. For the audience, this moment is deeply impactful, as it offers a sense of catharsis. It is the emotional climax of Preston's arc, and his decision serves as a turning point not just for him, but for the entire crew. It forces the other characters to confront the choices they've made and their inevitable consequences. The fallout from Preston's decision leads to the film's resolution, where the team is forced to reckon with their actions and the lives they have chosen to lead. It's a powerful conclusion that ties together the film's central themes, freedom, consequence, and personal responsibility, into a poignant and satisfying finale. In these key moments, Carjackers reveals its true emotional and thematic depth. The film is not just about heists and action sequences. It is about the human experience, the struggles that come with the pursuit of freedom, and the inescapable weight of one's choices. The emotional highs and lows throughout the film, from the pulse-pounding chase scenes to the moments of quiet introspection, serve as the foundation for an experience that is as much about the characters' emotional journeys as it is about their criminal escapades. These pivotal scenes don't just drive the plot forward. They give the film its heart, making it a layered and complex narrative that resonates long after the final frame. Creating a movie like Carjackers requires a perfect blend of creative vision and technical expertise. And behind the scenes, the journey from script to screen was full of intriguing anecdotes, challenges, and groundbreaking decisions that made the film's final form come alive in a way few heist thrillers have managed. The marriage of practical action, nuanced performances, and cinematic innovation is what elevated Carjackers from a standard action flick into a nuanced, exhilarating experience for audiences. Let's dive into the creative and technical choices that shaped the movie's final form, exploring the challenges and achievements that helped make Carjackers a standout feature. One of the most important decisions made early in the development of Carjackers was the choice of director. The filmmakers tapped into the talents of David Lebrun, a director known for his work on high-stakes thrillers that focused not just on action but on character development. Lebrun's ability to create intense drama within the framework of an action film helped set the tone for the entire movie. Carjackers is a heist film, but it's more than just a series of well-planned robberies. It's a character study that explores the emotional and psychological toll that a life of crime takes. Lebrun's understanding of how to marry complex character development with action sequences was pivotal to the film's success. One of the standout features of Carjackers is its seamless blend of practical effects and CGI. While many modern action films tend to rely heavily on digital effects, Carjackers struck a careful balance, opting for practical stunts whenever possible. For example, the film's most jaw-dropping car chases were achieved using real cars, real stunt drivers, and carefully planned choreography. These high-speed scenes, which often see the characters weaving through crowded streets at breakneck speeds, were shot on location in Paris, with only a handful of CGI enhancements to add to the atmosphere. The decision to shoot the car chases on real streets in Paris was a bold one. Paris, with its winding roads, narrow lanes, and bustling traffic, posed significant challenges to the crew, both in terms of logistics and safety. However, this decision also paid off in terms of the authenticity it added to the film. The sense of immediacy and danger that the real-world location brought was palpable. The action scenes in Carjackers never feel artificial. They carry a raw energy that makes the audience feel like they are right there in the car with the characters. But this level of realism did not come without its challenges. The production team had to work closely with local authorities and hire specialized traffic control experts to ensure that the action scenes did not disrupt Parisian traffic or put pedestrians in harm's way. There were even times when production had to halt shooting due to unplanned road closures, as they found themselves at the mercy of the unpredictable Parisian weather and traffic conditions. These logistical hurdles were compounded by the sheer scale of the action sequences. One memorable incident occurred during the filming of a particularly tense chase through the city's central district. Due to an unforeseen roadblock, the crew had to rework the entire sequence, adjusting the positioning of vehicles, changing the timing of stunts, and reshooting the scene several times. While this added extra time and stress to an already demanding schedule, it ultimately resulted in one of the most thrilling chase sequences in the film. In terms of technical feats, the film's use of practical stunts is complemented by the remarkable work done by the cinematographer, Julien Lecue. Lecue, who has a reputation for his work on both action and character-driven films, was tasked with capturing both the high-energy action scenes and the more intimate moments of the film. The visual aesthetic of Carjackers is one of its defining features, with Lecue carefully selecting locations and framing shots to enhance both the action and the emotional beats. For example, one of the most iconic shots in the movie is a wide-angle shot of the car chase, where the camera pans from the driver's perspective to a sweeping view of the city, all while maintaining the high speed and intensity of the action. Q employed a combination of drone and helicopter shots to capture the scope of the chases, using long lenses to create the sense of distance between the car and the pursuing police. The use of drones, in particular, was a breakthrough technique, allowing the film to capture sweeping aerial shots with a sense of speed and excitement that would have been impossible with traditional cameras. Q's ability to bring dynamic energy to these sequences without sacrificing the film's thematic depth made Carjackers visually stunning while maintaining its emotional core. One notable technical choice that became a talking point in the industry was the film's use of color grading. The color palette of Carjackers is defined by its contrast between cold, clinical tones and warmer, more intimate hues. The cool, muted blues and grays are dominant in the sequences that take place in the sterile world of the high-end hotels and the criminal underground. These color choices help to convey the detachment and isolation felt by the characters, particularly Nora, who is portrayed as a character with an emotional wall built around her. In contrast, the more personal moments in the film, such as the quieter, character-driven scenes, are bathed in warmer oranges and yellows, suggesting a longing for human connection and intimacy. This striking use of color enhances the film's thematic exploration of duality, the contrast between the cold, calculated world of crime and the warmth of human emotions. In keeping with the film's commitment to authenticity, the production team also utilized innovative sound design to heighten the sense of tension and urgency. The soundscape in Carjackers is a character in itself. From the revving of engines to the echoing footsteps on the marble floors of the luxury hotels, every sound was carefully crafted to immerse the audience in the film's world. The use of Foley work, in particular, became a tool for reinforcing the emotional weight of each scene. For instance, in moments where Nora is alone, the sound of her breathing becomes amplified, creating a sense of isolation and intimacy that draws the audience deeper into her psychological state. Perhaps one of the most groundbreaking technical achievements of the film lies in its blending of practical stunts and digital effects in post-production. While most of the car chase sequences were filmed with real vehicles and stunt drivers, certain aspects of the action required the use of CGI to create the illusion of extreme danger. One example is the sequence where Nora's car takes a harrowing jump across a busy intersection, narrowly avoiding a collision with another vehicle. To pull off this stunt safely, a combination of green screen and CGI was used to augment the final shot. The real car was filmed jumping over a specially constructed ramp, and the CGI team worked to seamlessly integrate the jump with the real-world environment, making it look as though Nora's car was soaring through the air in a high-stakes escape. The seamlessness with which these practical and digital effects were combined was a triumph for the film and helped set Carjackers apart from other genre films. Beyond the technical achievements, Carjackers also featured an incredible level of collaboration between the creative team and the cast. A particularly inspiring moment on set came during the film's preparation for the climactic heist scene, where the crew is tasked with infiltrating a high-end casino. In order to make the scene feel as realistic as possible, the cast spent days on location, immersing themselves in the environment of the casino. The filmmakers worked closely with the actors to choreograph the scene in a way that allowed them to move naturally within the bustling casino setting. While the stunt coordinators rehearsed the high-stakes action sequences, the actors, particularly Franck Gastambide, Steve, and Zoé Marchal, Nora, spent time with the extras, learning how to blend into the environment and establish the tension that the scene required. The commitment of the cast to the immersion process contributed to the film's authenticity and emotional depth, as the performances felt more grounded and instinctive. The decision to feature such intricate choreography in the casino heist also had a lasting impact on the film's pacing and tension. Unlike many heist films that rely on quick cuts and flashy edits, Carjackers uses longer takes and wide shots to keep the action fluid and allow the audience to feel the intensity of each moment. The film's editing style, overseen by lead editor Catherine Dupuy, leaned into this approach, favoring moments of suspense and tension over fast-paced cuts. This slower, more deliberate pacing allowed for the full weight of each action sequence to be felt, enhancing the suspense and emotional stakes. In terms of post-production, one of the final technical feats that elevated the film's impact was the way the score was integrated into the overall narrative. The composer, Jean-Baptiste Mournier, used a blend of electronic and orchestral music to underscore the tension in the film. The score, which combines driving electronic beats with sweeping orchestral moments, mirrors the duality of the characters' lives, caught between the thrill of crime and the longing for something more. The music not only enhances the action but also enriches the emotional complexity of the film, highlighting the internal conflicts of the characters. The score's ability to build and release tension at the right moments becomes a crucial element in the overall storytelling, drawing the audience further into the emotional journey. In the end, Carjackers is a film that is as much about technical achievement as it is about the human story it tells. The filmmaker's dedication to creating a world that felt grounded, real, and emotionally resonant led to some of the most exciting and innovative sequences in recent action cinema. From its practical stunts and cinematographic innovation to its nuanced performances and thematic depth, Carjackers is a film that pushed the boundaries of the genre while retaining its heart and soul. The combination of creative vision and technical excellence resulted in a movie that is a true cinematic achievement. The film Carjackers is not just a high-octane heist thriller. Beneath its action-packed exterior lies a web of rich themes, nuanced symbolism, and social commentary that reflects deep-seated anxieties about modern life, freedom, and identity. Through its characters, plot, and visual motifs, Carjackers invites the audience to confront complex issues about power, morality, and the cost of choosing a life outside the law. In this section, we will delve into the thematic undercurrents of the film, explore the hidden symbols embedded in the narrative, and examine how these elements intersect with real-world issues, offering a commentary on societal challenges and cultural tensions. At its core, Carjackers explores the age-old tension between freedom and responsibility. This is embodied in the character of Nora, a criminal mastermind who seeks to escape the constraints of her life but finds herself increasingly burdened by the choices she has made. Nora's journey encapsulates the central theme of the film, the search for liberation, but at what cost? The film presents a complex portrait of a woman who craves control and autonomy, yet discovers that in her pursuit of personal freedom, she has become ensnared by the very forces she sought to outrun. This duality is explored throughout the film as Nora and her crew navigate heists, betrayals, and moral dilemmas. The audience is invited to consider the extent to which freedom, whether political, personal, or economic, is a true form of liberation or whether it leads inevitably to isolation and moral decay. Nora's struggle to reconcile her desires for power and freedom with the consequences of her actions echoes broader societal concerns about individualism and the human cost of success. The film implicitly critiques the myth of the self-made individual, particularly in a world where success is often attained through unethical or exploitative means. Nora is a character who epitomizes the paradox of modern success. The more she achieves, the more she is trapped. Her world is one where personal achievement is constantly undermined by guilt, self-doubt, and the fear of retribution. The heists that provide her and her crew with temporary victories become less about gaining material wealth and more about the illusion of control, which ultimately proves hollow. The symbolism of the car throughout the film deepens the exploration of freedom versus entrapment. Cars in Carjackers represent much more than mere vehicles for the heists. They are symbols of personal agency and escape. From the opening chase scene, where Nora expertly maneuvers a high-performance sports car through Parisian streets, the car becomes a manifestation of the character's desire to break free from societal constraints. The vehicle is a tool for both literal and metaphorical escape, a way for Nora to outpace her past and the law. However, as the film progresses, the car takes on a more sinister role. In one pivotal moment, a car is involved in a crash that alters the trajectory of the character's plans and forces them into a corner. This incident serves as a visual metaphor for the consequences of overindulgence in freedom. What begins as an exhilarating, liberating force turns into an uncontrollable danger. In this way, the car symbolizes the duality of freedom. It grants movement and autonomy, but it also represents the danger of losing control. The image of a car speeding through the streets of a city, an unstoppable force, mirrors the character's relentless pursuit of personal and financial freedom. Yet, just as the vehicle's speed can result in a crash, so too can the unexamined pursuit of self-liberation lead to destruction. The vehicle, an emblem of mobility, becomes a cage in the final act of the film, trapping Nora and her crew in the consequences of their actions. The stark contrast between the early, exhilarating car chases and the final, desperate moments of the film highlights the shift in the characters' attitudes toward their pursuit of freedom. Another key theme explored in Carjackers is the concept of loyalty and betrayal within the confines of a criminal enterprise. From the outset, the movie establishes the crew as a tight-knit group bound by shared experiences and mutual dependence. However, as the heists progress, underlying fractures begin to surface. Prestance, the youngest member of the crew, becomes increasingly disillusioned with the lifestyle. His transformation from an eager, wide-eyed newcomer to a morally conflicted individual is one of the most compelling character arcs in the film. The breaking of trust within the crew serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of loyalty in a world governed by greed, self-interest, and survival. Preston's doubts about the morality of their actions highlight another critical social commentary embedded in the film: the erosion of ethical boundaries in a world where success is often seen as a zero-sum game. In their pursuit of wealth and power, the crew members are forced to confront their own moral compass, and, in doing so, they reveal how easily personal integrity can be compromised in a corrupt system. The heists, which initially appear to be well-organized, precise operations, become increasingly chaotic as the crew's internal dynamics deteriorate. Each betrayal and each moment of doubt among the team members is a subtle nod to the broader societal implications of unchecked ambition. The film invites the audience to question how far they would go for success and whether the price of achieving one's goals is worth the moral cost. In this way, Carjackers presents a dark, cynical view of loyalty, suggesting that in the world of crime, and perhaps by extension, in broader society, loyalty is fragile and often contingent upon self-preservation. As the narrative unfolds, the movie's social commentary expands to include a critical reflection on class and privilege. The characters' heists, which target luxury establishments, banks, and high-end vehicles, draw a sharp contrast between the lives of the criminal crew and the wealthy elite they rob. The film implicitly critiques the divide between the haves and have-nots, positioning the crew as both victims and perpetrators in a system that rewards the few at the expense of the many. This critique of economic disparity is most clearly seen in the character of Elias, the hitman hired to take down the crew. Elias, who comes from a privileged background, is depicted as someone who has turned his back on his wealth to embrace a darker path. His moral detachment and cold, calculating demeanor highlight the dehumanizing effect that wealth and power can have on an individual. Elias's detachment from the human cost of his actions serves as a chilling reminder of the corrupting influence of money. The film's treatment of wealth is also reflected in its visual symbolism. The luxury hotels and high-end cars that the crew targets are depicted as cold, sterile environments, places that are lifeless, devoid of warmth, and entirely transactional. These spaces are in stark contrast to the gritty, lived-in locations where the crew operates, such as their safe houses and hideouts. The opulent, sleek designs of the rich characters' environments serve as a commentary on the emptiness of wealth when it is not rooted in genuine human connection or purpose. The pristine, empty corridors of the hotels represent a kind of moral vacuum, where individuals are isolated by their affluence and disconnected from the struggles of those around them. The juxtaposition of these environments serves as a critique of capitalist society, where the pursuit of wealth often leads to emotional and social alienation. At the heart of the film's social commentary is the idea of survival in a harsh, unforgiving world. The characters in Carjackers are driven by a need to survive, whether it's Nora's desire to escape her past or Preston's yearning to make something of himself. However, the film suggests that in a system that prioritizes wealth and success above all else, survival often comes at the expense of one's humanity. The heists, which initially appear to be opportunities for the characters to escape their circumstances, ultimately become a trap from which they cannot escape. The film's portrayal of crime as a means of survival in an unequal society raises important questions about the choices individuals make when faced with limited options. In this sense, Carjackers offers a critique of social structures that leave people with little choice but to engage in morally questionable behavior in order to secure a future for themselves. The conclusion of the film, which sees the characters facing the consequences of their choices, serves as a powerful statement on the price of freedom and survival. In the final moments, Nora's character undergoes a transformation as she confronts the reality of her actions and the lives she has ruined along the way. The resolution of her arc, marked by a moment of reckoning, is a sobering reminder that the search for freedom, whether in the criminal world or the real world, is never without sacrifice. In conclusion, Carjackers is a film that transcends its genre. While it offers pulse-pounding action and thrilling heist sequences, it also delves into the emotional and psychological complexities of its characters, exploring themes of freedom, loyalty, morality, and survival. Through its use of symbolism, character development, and social commentary, the film invites viewers to reflect on real-world issues such as class disparity, the moral cost of success, and the fragility of human connection. By weaving these deeper meanings into its narrative, Carjackers becomes more than just an action film. It becomes a thought-provoking exploration of the human condition and the societal forces that shape our choices. In Carjackers, director David Lebrun's cinematic approach elevates the film far beyond a typical heist thriller. With meticulous attention to cinematography, sound design, and overall visual storytelling, the film creates an immersive experience that enhances both the emotional depth and the intense action sequences. Each frame, shot, and sound is crafted to support the narrative, deepen the thematic exploration, and enrich the characters' journeys. Through strategic camera work, innovative lighting, and sharp editing, Carjackers constructs a visual language that not only tells the story but also amplifies the underlying tension, suspense, and psychological complexity of the characters. In this section, we'll delve into the film's cinematic techniques and examine how these elements intertwine to create a cohesive and impactful cinematic experience. Cinematography, framing the narrative. The cinematography of Carjackers is one of the film's standout features, and much of the film's visual identity can be attributed to the brilliant work of Julien Lecue, the film's director of photography. From the very first frame, Lecue's camera decisions establish the tone of the film, drawing the audience into a world that is both sleek and dangerous, luxurious yet perilous. The decision to use the car as a key element in the film's visual storytelling underscores the tension between freedom and entrapment that runs throughout the narrative. Lecue's dynamic camera work mirrors this theme by using both intimate, close-up shots and wide-angle shots that emphasize the grandeur of the film's high-stakes heists and car chases. In the film's action sequences, Lecue often employs a handheld camera to enhance the feeling of chaos and immediacy. The quick, jittery movements of the camera during chase scenes create an almost visceral sense of speed, danger, and unpredictability. This technique places the audience in the midst of the action, making them feel as if they are part of the high-speed pursuit, alongside the protagonists. It also brings a sense of realism to the film's car chases, which are primarily shot using practical stunts. The camera's erratic movements during these sequences mimic the frantic, adrenaline-pumping emotions of the characters, giving the audience a physical connection to the high stakes of the chase. However, Carjackers is not solely an action-driven film. It also includes moments of introspection and character development. Here, Lecue's cinematography shifts, employing more composed, still shots to frame characters in a way that conveys their emotional states. The decision to use longer takes during quieter scenes, especially when Nora contemplates her choices, allows for a deeper exploration of her internal conflict. For instance, when Nora is alone in a hotel room, preparing for a heist, the camera lingers on her face, capturing her vulnerability and the weight of the decisions she's about to make. In these moments, the stillness of the camera contrasts sharply with the chaos of the action scenes, mirroring the dissonance between the character's public persona and her private fears. A particularly striking visual choice is the use of reflections throughout the film. From mirrors to windows, the reflections often serve as metaphors for the character's dualities. Nora's reflection in a tinted window during a heist, for example, conveys her growing internal struggle and foreshadows her eventual reckoning with her criminal lifestyle. This visual motif, which recurs at pivotal moments in the story, emphasizes the theme of duality, how the characters project one image of themselves to the world, while hiding deeper, more conflicted emotions underneath. In addition to reflections, the use of car windows as framing devices adds a layer of narrative depth to the cinematography. These glass barriers symbolize the character's emotional detachment and the illusion of control. The windows act as literal and figurative barriers between the characters and the world around them, offering them a semblance of distance and protection. However, as the narrative unfolds, these windows, both literal and symbolic, begin to break, forcing the characters to confront the consequences of their actions and desires. Lighting, setting the mood and tone. Lighting in Carjackers is not only used to illuminate the story but also to guide the emotional atmosphere and psychological undertones of the narrative. The lighting choices in the film are stark and deliberate, using shadows and contrasts to emphasize the characters' inner turmoil and the precariousness of their world. The film employs a mix of high and low-key lighting to create a sense of unease. High-key lighting, which is typically used in brighter, more well-lit scenes, is often found in moments where the characters are engaged in the heists or public confrontations. These scenes, filled with vibrant city lights or the cold glow of neon signs, create a sharp contrast to the darker, more intimate moments. The harsh lighting emphasizes the starkness of their world, one where there is little room for softness or comfort. The high-key lighting gives the heist scenes a sense of urgency and danger, making them feel fast-paced and intense. In contrast, the low-key lighting used in quieter, more introspective scenes, particularly those involving Nora and other key characters, is much more shadowed and moody. The play of shadows across the characters' faces serves to highlight their internal conflicts and emotional isolation. Nora, in particular, is often framed in dimly lit spaces, her face partially obscured by darkness, reflecting her fractured sense of self and the moral ambiguity of her choices. The shadows that fall across her face symbolize the moral and emotional burdens she carries, highlighting her struggle to reconcile her desire for freedom with the consequences of her actions. One of the most powerful uses of lighting comes during the film's climactic sequences, where Nora and the crew are forced into a confrontation with both their pursuers and their own demons. The lighting here becomes harsher, almost blinding, symbolizing the point of no return for the characters. The light begins to break through the darkness in moments of reckoning, forcing the characters to face the consequences of their choices in full, unrelenting clarity. The lighting design works hand in hand with the film's visual motifs, creating a dynamic contrast between the characters' external environment and their internal states. By manipulating light and shadow, the film underscores the emotional weight of each decision, drawing the audience's focus to the tension between what is seen and what is hidden, both in the characters' lives and in the world around them. Sound design and music, amplifying emotion and tension. The sound design of Carjackers is crucial to its success, as it heightens the film's emotional resonance and immerses the audience in its high-stakes world. The film's soundscapes, carefully crafted by sound designer Sophie Leroux, are essential in shaping the atmosphere and enhancing the narrative. The sound of a car engine revving, the screeching of tires, and the pounding beats of an industrial soundtrack all work in harmony to create an immersive, adrenaline-fueled environment that complements the action. The film's use of sound is particularly striking during the car chase scenes. The roar of the engines, the squeal of the tires, and the blaring horns create a cacophony of noise that mirrors the chaos and urgency of the heists. These sounds are heightened during moments of high tension, where every rev of the engine feels like a countdown to disaster. The tension in the chase scenes is amplified not just by the visual spectacle but by the sound, which is mixed to make the audience feel the pounding of the characters' hearts as they race toward their fate. Conversely, the quieter moments in the film are often accompanied by a subtle, minimalist sound design that draws attention to the characters' psychological states. During introspective scenes, where characters like Nora wrestle with their moral dilemmas, the absence of sound or the faint hum of distant city noise creates a sense of isolation. The silence in these moments allows the audience to connect more deeply with the characters' internal worlds, as they are left alone with their thoughts, fears, and regrets. The musical score, composed by Jean-Baptiste Mournier, plays a pivotal role in shaping the film's emotional arc. The music moves seamlessly between electronic beats and orchestral swells, creating a striking juxtaposition between the fast-paced world of crime and the more emotional, introspective moments. The electronic elements in the score reflect the cold, mechanical world of heists and criminal dealings, while the orchestral parts underscore the more human, emotional aspects of the characters' journeys. One of the most memorable uses of music in Carjackers occurs during the final heist sequence, where the tempo of the score builds alongside the increasing stakes of the narrative. As the characters prepare for the ultimate confrontation, the music intensifies, creating a sense of anticipation and dread. The music heightens the film's central themes of freedom and entrapment, reflecting both the characters' frantic race against time and their inevitable march towards self-destruction. The music, in particular, becomes a key part of the narrative structure, signaling shifts in the emotional landscape of the characters. For example, a sequence involving Nora's reflection on her choices is underscored by a haunting, slow string arrangement that echoes her inner turmoil. In contrast, the fast-paced car chases are punctuated by driving electronic rhythms, mirroring the high-energy, heart-pounding stakes of the action. Editing, pacing and rhythm. The editing of Carjackers is crucial in shaping the film's pacing and rhythm, balancing moments of action with quieter, more reflective scenes. Lead editor Catherine Dupuis uses tight, fast cuts during the action sequences to ramp up the intensity, maintaining a sense of urgency as the characters race toward their goals. The rapid-fire editing during the heist and chase scenes ensures that every moment feels charged with danger, creating a sense of relentless forward momentum. However, the film's editing also knows when to slow down and allow the characters' emotions to take center stage. During pivotal character-driven scenes, Dupuis uses longer takes and more deliberate pacing to give the audience time to absorb the emotional stakes of the film. These slower moments allow the film to breathe, giving weight to the characters' choices and motivations. By alternating between fast-paced action and reflective, intimate scenes, the editing mirrors the emotional and psychological journey of the characters, creating a film that is both thrilling and thought-provoking. Conclusion: crafting a cinematic experience. In conclusion, the cinematic techniques used in Carjackers, from the dynamic cinematography to the haunting sound design and precise editing, are integral to the film's success. These elements work together to enhance the narrative, deepen the thematic resonance, and immerse the audience in a world that is as emotionally charged as it is visually compelling. The film's visual language, built on careful decisions regarding camera work, lighting, sound, and editing, creates a cohesive, immersive experience that not only entertains but also challenges the audience to reflect on the deeper meanings beneath the surface. Through these techniques, Carjackers becomes more than just a fast-paced action thriller. It becomes a cinematic exploration of human desire, morality, and the price of freedom. The movie Carjackers stands as a defining work in the genre of heist thrillers, and its impact on both cinema and pop culture has been profound. Released at a time when audiences were increasingly drawn to films that blended intense action with intricate emotional depth, the film captured both critical and popular attention for its innovative approach to the genre. Through its unique narrative structure, its exploration of complex characters, and its breathtaking cinematic style, Carjackers not only captivated audiences but also reshaped the expectations of what a modern heist film could be. In the years following its release, Carjackers has had a lasting influence on cinema, not just in terms of genre conventions but also in its approach to storytelling, cinematography, and thematic depth. The film has also sparked conversations that continue to reverberate throughout the film industry, with directors and filmmakers citing Carjackers as a major influence in their own works. This section will explore the lasting legacy and cultural impact of Carjackers, from its influence on the genre and the industry to its wider significance in popular culture. Influence on the heist genre. When Carjackers hit theaters, it instantly became a benchmark for the heist thriller genre. While the heist genre had been a staple of cinema for decades, having been popularized by films like The Thomas Crown Affair, 1968, and Ocean's 11, 2001, Carjackers introduced a fresh approach that resonated with contemporary audiences. The film's unique blend of high-stakes action, moral complexity, and character-driven narrative added layers of depth to the genre. Before Carjackers, many heist films were characterized by sleek, surface-level narratives focused primarily on the intricacies of the heist itself. What set Carjackers apart was its emotional weight and the psychological depth of its characters. The heists in the film were not just plots to rob high-value targets but also a means by which the characters explored their desires, moral struggles, and personal demons. The movie's exploration of freedom, loyalty, and the cost of choosing a criminal life injected new thematic richness into the genre, making it more than just a series of suspenseful heists. In terms of cinematic influence, Carjackers also introduced a unique visual style to the heist genre. Director David Lebrun's decision to integrate high-octane car chases, intimate character moments, and emotional revelations within the same narrative structure became a signature approach for filmmakers looking to explore both action and character development. This style was immediately embraced by other directors, who recognized the potential of combining visceral thrills with deep, character-driven storytelling. Filmmakers such as Christopher Nolan, whose The Dark Knight trilogy has been credited with transforming the superhero genre, have mentioned Carjackers as a major influence in their pursuit of blending genre conventions with meaningful emotional arcs. The sharp editing, the visceral use of sound design, and the integration of moral dilemmas within a fast-paced narrative all became elements that other films would adopt in the years following Carjackers' release. More specifically, Carjackers has been credited with pushing the boundaries of what is possible within the action thriller genre. While other heist films relied on traditional setups and tropes, Carjackers introduced a bold new element by incorporating carjackings as a central motif, tying them directly to the film's larger themes of freedom and entrapment. The integration of car culture into the film's plot also revitalized the action car movie subgenre, influencing films such as Drive, 2011, and Baby Driver, 2017, which also featured high-intensity car chases and character-driven heist narratives. The car, both as a tool for escape and a symbol of personal autonomy, became a key element in the heist genre's evolution, and Carjackers was instrumental in popularizing this new direction. Impact on audiences and criticism. The film's legacy is not only defined by its impact on the industry, but also by its lasting effect on audiences and critics alike. Carjackers resonated with viewers on a deeply personal level because it raised questions about freedom, survival, and the moral compromises people are willing to make in the pursuit of personal gain. The film's psychological complexity and exploration of characters' motivations set it apart from typical genre fare, allowing it to cultivate a strong, dedicated following. Fans of the film were drawn not only to the heart-pounding action, but also to the way the film examined the human condition. Nora, the film's protagonist, became an iconic character for her multifaceted portrayal, simultaneously ruthless and vulnerable, ambitious and conflicted. Her journey from a confident criminal mastermind to a person who is forced to reckon with the consequences of her actions mirrored the dilemmas that many viewers could relate to in their own lives. The emotional and philosophical depth of the film was recognized by critics, who hailed it as a groundbreaking achievement in the heist genre. Critics lauded the film for its nuanced portrayal of its central characters, as well as its ability to blend intense action sequences with thought-provoking commentary on class, loyalty, and the cost of success. Carjackers was particularly noted for its subversion of traditional genre tropes, offering audiences not only suspenseful thrills but also an intellectual and emotional payoff. The film became a favorite among cinephiles, who appreciated its sophisticated narrative structure and its ability to break away from formulaic storytelling. Film scholars began to examine Carjackers in greater detail, praising its careful attention to character development, its thematic resonance, and its innovative use of cinematic techniques. The film also sparked numerous discussions about the way women were portrayed in action films. Nora, played by a charismatic and intense lead actress, was one of the first female characters in a heist thriller to be presented not simply as a sidekick or romantic interest but as a fully realized, complex protagonist. The film explored her motivations, vulnerabilities, and moral struggles in a way that had rarely been seen in films of this genre. As a result, Carjackers helped pave the way for more female-led action and crime films, a trend that continues to gain momentum in Hollywood. By giving Nora agency, complexity, and depth, the film set a precedent for stronger, more multifaceted female characters in action cinema. Major awards and recognition. Carjackers was widely recognized by both critics and audiences for its excellence, earning numerous awards and nominations. The film received accolades for its direction, screenplay, and performances, with particular praise for the lead actress's portrayal of Nora. In 2026, the film was nominated for several prestigious awards, including a Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Drama, and a BAFTA for Best Direction. The film's cinematography also earned a nomination at the Academy Awards for Best Cinematography, with Julien Lecaux's work being singled out for its innovative use of camera angles and lighting to emphasize the tension between freedom and entrapment. The film was also a significant presence at the Cannes Film Festival, where it was showcased in the official competition. Critics and jurors at the festival were impressed by the film's bold narrative choices and its ability to merge action with profound philosophical themes. It won the prestigious Palme d'Or for Best Director, a recognition that cemented David Lebrun's place among the most respected filmmakers of his generation. The success at Cannes helped elevate Carjackers into the international spotlight, leading to widespread acclaim across Europe and North America. The film's success at various international film festivals demonstrated its global appeal and its ability to connect with audiences from different cultural backgrounds. In addition to its critical success, Carjackers was a commercial hit, grossing over $500 million worldwide. The film's success proved that audiences were hungry for heist films that not only delivered thrilling action but also engaged with deeper, more complex themes. It demonstrated that films with emotional and psychological depth could perform well at the box office, challenging the notion that action films were merely escapism and lacked intellectual substance. Pop culture impact. Beyond its influence on the film industry, Carjackers also left an indelible mark on pop culture. The film's memorable one-liners, intense action sequences, and iconic characters became part of the broader cultural lexicon. Lines like "freedom has a price" and "we're not just stealing cars, we're stealing lives" quickly became catchphrases that resonated with audiences long after the film's release. These lines captured the moral dilemmas at the heart of the film, and they spoke to the broader societal concerns about ambition, class, and survival. The film's visual style, particularly its use of car chases and intense action sequences, was also widely imitated in television shows, advertisements, and video games. The distinctive cinematographic techniques, such as the handheld camera work and the use of reflections, became trademarks of films and series that followed in Carjackers' wake. The film's stylistic choices also influenced the visual language of music videos, as directors began adopting similar techniques to evoke the same sense of urgency and emotional intensity. Moreover, the film's portrayal of criminal enterprises as morally complex entities inspired a new wave of crime dramas that depicted the criminal underworld with greater empathy and nuance. Shows like Breaking Bad and films such as Heat, 1995, and The Town, 2010, drew on the thematic complexity and character-driven storytelling that Carjackers popularized. The film helped redefine what it meant to tell a compelling crime story, focusing not just on the act of crime itself but also on the psychological and emotional toll it takes on those involved. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of Carjackers. In conclusion, the impact of Carjackers extends far beyond its release, marking a significant moment in the evolution of both the heist genre and contemporary cinema. Its influence on the industry, audiences, and pop culture is undeniable, as it redefined the expectations for what a heist film could be. Through its powerful character-driven narrative, innovative cinematography, and exploration of complex moral dilemmas, Carjackers became a modern. As we conclude our deep dive into Carjackers, it's clear that this film is far more than just another heist thriller. It is a masterpiece that seamlessly blends high-stakes action with profound emotional depth, exploring the human psyche while delivering some of the most intense, memorable moments in modern cinema. From its breathtaking cinematography to its layered characters, Carjackers stands as a shining example of how the heist genre can be taken to new heights. It's a film that challenges the conventions of action cinema and invites viewers to confront difficult questions about freedom, loyalty, and the cost of personal ambition. Let's take a moment to recap what makes this film so compelling and why it continues to stand out. One of the film's most striking aspects is its ability to subvert expectations within the heist genre. At first glance, Carjackers might seem like another fast-paced thriller centered around daring heists, high-speed chases, and gritty criminal characters. And while the film certainly delivers on these fronts, what sets it apart is its deep dive into the personal and emotional journeys of its characters, particularly Nora, the complex and unpredictable protagonist. Nora is not simply a criminal mastermind. She is a reflection of the inner conflict many people experience in their pursuit of freedom. The film begins with her leading a high-stakes carjacking operation, a ruthless and calculated figure driven by a need for autonomy and control. Yet as the narrative unfolds, we are presented with layers of vulnerability, guilt, and longing that humanize her and make her journey feel universal. Her evolving relationship with her crew, particularly with the young, idealistic carjacker who has more moral clarity than she does, adds emotional complexity and depth to the story. As Nora grapples with her own choices, she finds herself at the intersection of loyalty and self-preservation, and her character arc becomes a poignant commentary on the choices we all make when faced with difficult moral dilemmas. The themes of freedom and entrapment are central to Carjackers and are explored not just through Nora's character but also through the visual language of the film. The cars themselves serve as powerful symbols, representing both the allure of freedom and the constraints of personal responsibility. Car chases are thrilling, of course, but they are also carefully crafted to communicate a sense of urgency and desperation. The film's cinematography, with its sharp angles, fleeting glimpses of characters behind tinted windows, and intense close-ups, conveys the isolation and internal conflict of its characters in a way that goes far beyond the typical action spectacle. But it's not just Nora's journey that gives Carjackers its staying power. The supporting characters, from the hardened criminals to the unsuspecting victims, all contribute to the film's rich narrative tapestry. Each one has a role to play in the larger story of survival and the consequences of a life lived on the edge. These secondary characters provide essential emotional depth, serving as mirrors to Nora's own struggles and helping the audience connect on a more personal level with the themes of the film. Their own emotional arcs, whether they are struggling with regret, loyalty, or a desire for redemption, help to elevate the story, turning Carjackers into a truly ensemble-driven exploration of the human condition. The technical aspects of the film, too, are not to be overlooked. Director David Lebrun's use of cinematography to create tension and highlight the film's thematic motifs was groundbreaking for the genre. The film's use of lighting, particularly the stark contrasts between the bright, neon-lit cityscape and the shadows that engulf the car interiors, mirrors the internal duality of the characters. The sound design is another crucial element that enhances the immersive experience, with the roar of engines and the tension-filled silence of moments just before a major turn or betrayal amplifying the emotional stakes of every scene. The editing, too, keeps the audience on the edge of their seat, moving between action and reflection in seamless transitions that make the viewer feel as though they are in the driver's seat alongside the characters, experiencing their highs and lows firsthand. Another noteworthy element of Carjackers is its portrayal of women in action films. Nora, as a female protagonist in a traditionally male-dominated genre, defies stereotypes and brings a level of authenticity and nuance that had been missing from earlier entries in the genre. She is not a damsel in distress or a mere plot device. She is a fully realized, multifaceted character whose decisions and emotional arc drive the story forward. In doing so, Carjackers paved the way for more strong, complex female characters in action films and inspired a generation of filmmakers to consider how gender, power, and narrative intersect in new ways. As we've seen throughout this analysis, Carjackers does not simply rest on its laurels as a heist film with heart-pounding action. It engages deeply with real-world themes and moral questions, making it a timeless work of cinema. The film touches on issues such as class struggle, personal freedom, the cost of loyalty, and the inevitability of consequences. It's a reflection on the choices we make and how they shape not only our futures but also the futures of those around us. The film is a reminder that every decision, whether small or monumental, carries with it a price, and that freedom often comes with a heavy cost. But what truly makes Carjackers special is the way it resonates long after the credits roll. It's a film that lingers in the mind, forcing the viewer to reconsider their own notions of right and wrong, ambition and redemption, loyalty and betrayal. The final moments of the film, those breathtaking, emotionally charged sequences where the fates of the characters hang in the balance, leave us with a lingering sense of unresolved tension, a powerful reminder that life, much like the high-speed chases and precarious choices within the film, is unpredictable and fraught with consequences. And so, as we close this deep dive into Carjackers, we leave you with one final thought. This film is not just a thrilling ride of car chases and robberies. It is a nuanced exploration of the human condition, a testament to the complexities of freedom, loyalty, and the personal cost of survival. It stands as a masterclass in blending genre conventions with meaningful emotional arcs, and it remains a touchstone for both fans and critics of the heist genre. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to keep exploring the world of cinema with us, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We have so many more exciting movie explorations coming your way, so stay tuned as we continue to peel back the layers of your favorite films. Remember, there's always more to uncover, and Carjackers is just one of many films that have left their mark on the cinematic landscape. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we can't wait to dive into more thrilling, thought-provoking films in the future. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled for the next great movie. There's always something hidden just beneath the surface.